Ladies and gentlemen, voters of the 8th Election District, I'll make my introductions as brief as possible, as one or two of the speakers have to go from here to address other rallies. I'm sorry to say that the guest speaker of the evening, the Honorable James B. Murney, has just notified us that he's a bad attack of laryngitis and will be unable to address the meeting tonight. We're fortunate, however, in having his assistant in the campaign, who, although he has not spoken in the campaign before, is very close to Mr. Murney and will be able, I am sure, to give us firsthand Mr. Murney's views on the coming election. Mr. Robert Benchley.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, voters of the 8th Election District. I'm sorry to be here tonight, brother, I'm glad to be here tonight, but I'm sorry that my being here means that Mr. Murney is unable to be sick. Well, I guess I better begin again. When your chairman asked me to speak to you tonight in Mr. Murney's place, I was a little in the dark as just what to talk about. Of course, I knew I was supposed to talk about the candidate we're going to elect at the next election, but, or I think we're going to elect, I hope we're going to elect, but I sometimes wonder just what the chances are. Well, I don't wonder exactly, because I know we're going to elect him. Well, it's just that I didn't so much that as, my being up here tonight reminds me of a story, which probably all of you have heard. It seems there was this man, or this fellow or other, who was in a more or less inebriated condition, standing on a bridge looking down into the water.
We want housing! We want housing! We want housing!
They want who?
They want housing. Go on with your speech.
Well, this fellow looking down into the water, well, I think the first thing that we have to think of tonight, and as I figure it out, there are three things that we have to think of tonight. And the first is, and these are those are these. Now, there's the question of, I don't think that most of us voters in the 8th Assembly District quite realize the issues that are at stake. I don't, for instance, think that it's generally known that the administrative costs last year rose to between $1,800. Now, this is a matter which calls for attention, not only because of its importance to the community as a whole, but because of its significance to the country at large and its bearing on the issues of our institutions and the significance to the country at large. Now, this pretty well clears up that end of the problem. But I have some figures here which may help to make things a little less clear. In 1911, the United States exported this commodity to the value of $30 million. No, 30,000. No, that's right, 30 million in 1914. In 1911, the United States exported this commodity to the value in 1914. Of this, 40,000 were white, 10,000 were approximately white, and 30,000 were the same as those in Group A, white. This brings us up to 1925. In 1925, England alone imported, this may not be the right set of figures. You know, Mr. Chairman, if these are the figures that Mr. Murney wanted to have read? Well, they don't seem quite right to me. Well, anyway, I think they pretty well cover the point that I was trying to make and lead me more or less logically to the main item of our indictment against the party that we are against. Now, the fourth point that I wanted to bring up tonight, or rather, I suppose would be the third point if you counted that first point as two, is in connection with the Grouse-Water Dam project. A project which Mr. Murney is very much against, and I am too. Now, this Grouse-Water Dam project is nothing but a grab at the taxpayers' money. And I thought that we should think twice before thinking about it. Now, Mr. Murney, when he thought he was coming tonight, has made up a chart. There's its chart, and show you just what you're up against if you elect our opponent, or even if you don't elect us. Now we can get this thing. Oh, we can never keep it down.
Ja, das ist ein Schnitzelbank. I do schönes, I do schönes.
Gentlemen,
I do
gentlemen, please.
schönes Schnitzelbank.
This is not a song sheet. This is a chart that Mr. Murney has made up, and he's very ill, and I think the least we can do would be to pay attention to it. Now, this is what Mr. Murney considers to be the crux of the whole matter, as I understand it. This is the Grousewater River running up through here. Here's Ardney County here, and here's Ardney County. Both Ardney County, I guess. Now, here is the proposed dam, which will be built at a cost of $1,450,000, as you see here, or $2,385,000 over here. This dam, however, is a fake dam. Here is the real dam, which will be hidden under bushes at a cost of $1,750,000, or $3,450,000, and no sense, as you see. Now, the idea of this is to take the wear and tear, which will fall on the proposed fake dam, you see, and not see the real dam because it's hidden at the bushes at the cost of $1,750,000. Now, here's the place to leave the bicycles. And this whole thing, as I understand it, is complicated by the fact that the river ends right here and the state highway begins, which more or less makes it unnecessary to have any dams at all. But they're working on that problem, and we think that we'll find a reason for the dams. Now, here is the proposed post office at a cost of $1,500,000, $110,000, no, $3,920,000. What's the matter with me? This is just up around in here in this district. Now, here we have $1,300,000 for what? Well, for what, I don't know, but they're working on that problem, too, and I'm sure they'll find something. Now, over here, we have the men's locker room. That's all going to be made ground in here, and $14,000 is what they're estimating now, but we figure more on the $1,750,000 here, which comes into that column there. This is the captive balloon I was telling you about. Not very much fun in here, but we leave that whole district out. It says here 25 miles. I don't know 25 miles from what, but it must be all right because it says $6,000 there. That, you see, shows up over here, plus the $1,750 for cab fare, which that goes right in with all these other figures. Now, here's where we camped out for the night. We had 3 guides with Dr. Rasmussen and myself, and we picked this place because it was near the fish hatchery or something, $1,375,000. And the next day we set about reconnoitering. We kept on this side of the river because of the possible Indians over here. In the morning we reconnoitered around here and discovered this small river here, which seemed to have no beginning or end at all, and so we more or less ignored it. Here's a bird we saw, but I don't suppose it's there now. Now, all these figures, this is the captive balloon I was telling you about. We don't seem to be added up, except for this cab fare, $17.50. That will all come out of petty cash. This is not added up, but it's... Well, it adds up into quite a tidy sum. But I think that you'll see that this whole thing, together with the proposed dam and the 9 extra holes of golf and the floating hospital, it will build up into a mighty pretty country. Now, I think that this chart is, pardon me, I think this chart has shown that this Grouse River Dam project is a pretty good proposition after all. I mean, it's not a pretty good proposition after all. What's getting into me? No, but all joking aside, we are confronted by a very serious state of affairs. And I believe that just so long as we allow these forces to interfere with our principles, just so long as we ignore those principles which were laid down by the founders of this country, just so long as this union of states remains a union of states, one and invisible, I thank you.